Good morning, I'm Jen, and I created this Montessori Explorers homeschool channel specifically so that other parents who are homeschooling and interested in the Montessori philosophy can have somewhere that they can learn about materials, learn about philosophy, and learn about incorporating it into not only their homeschooling routine but their daily lives in general. I was in traditional preschool for a teen number of years, and then and during that time I would complain about this aspect or that aspect, and every time I would, someone would say, oh, you need to go to Montessori. And I never did, because I just didn't put much credence in a different philosophy of teaching children being better. Like they're still kids and they're still going to do these things that are frustrating me or annoying me, or it's still, a preschool in general. And so the preschool itself and the business is going to do these things that are annoying me. Like these things are just givens. And so I never did, which I won't even lie, I regret gratefully. But when my daughter was born, we were in Japan, and so we used the CDC on base, and they were amazing and they were wonderful, and she was just a little baby, and so it was just fine. But when we came back to the States, I put her in a preschool that didn't have a toddler program, so it was an infant class and then a preschool class, and she was just about 2. She was almost 2 years old, which put her in the infant class until she was at least 2.5 or 3, depending on her potty training. In the infant class, she was the only one over the age of 4 months. So in this infant class, there's 4 or 5 tiny little babies that aren't even crawling yet, and then my daughter. And I felt that she wasn't really getting anything out of it. She was just sitting around waiting for the babies to be fed, and waiting for the babies to be changed, and waiting for the babies to be burped, and waiting for the babies to be put down to sleep before she could actually interact with the teachers. And that kind of frustrated me. So I went looking for a toddler program, and I stumbled upon a Montessori school, and the rest, as they say, is history. I immediately enrolled her literally that day. I was working in the office within a month or 2, and by the end of the first year, I was enrolled to get my credential. I did not want to work with children anymore. I was beyond that point. But the method was so intrinsically motivating that I needed to know every part of it. I needed to know all aspects of it. So I went and got my training. And I worked for several years at that preschool as a teacher. I even helped them open another school. And then the military life took us on to wherever we're going. And now we're here in Oregon, where it rains all the time and it's ridiculously cold. I'm wearing 15 layers. But here we are. And my 2 oldest are at the Montessori charter school here. It's right down the street from our house. And they just lucked into spots this year. We did not plan on doing it. We didn't even know it existed when we moved here, but there it is. They're going there and they're enjoying it. So Luna, my youngest, and I are here with our homeschool classroom and, wondering what's next for us. So we started a play group, and so that she's got, some friends coming in. And my sister-in-law, who is a stay-at-home mom as well, and her 2 children, who are, oh my gosh, 3 and some months, and then the youngest just turned 1. She's starting to incorporate Montessori into her home. So she's asking all these questions, and she's, looking for material ideas and looking for philosophy information, and that's where everything just kind of came together, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna start the channel. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while, but I'm gonna do it. So we are going through our classroom. We're talking about the materials on the shelf. We're talking about the shelves themselves. We're doing some presentation, like how do we create jobs for the shelf. We're doing some lessons. How do we teach these jobs to our children? And we'll talk about philosophy, Montessori in general, not just in the classroom, but at home, in everything that you do. Montessori philosophy can be applied to every situation. Because the foundations of Montessori philosophy are respecting the child, which comes with so much more than you would ever realize. There's so much more opportunity to include respecting the child in the way that we interact with children in general. So that's a really, really big one. There are things that we do as adults that we don't even consider disrespectful because they're kids and they need to learn, or whatever the excuse that we might be giving them is. And so that one is huge, is respecting the child as an autonomous being, as someone who is capable of making choices, and as someone who has feelings. So respecting the child is first and foremost. Next is following them and letting them lead you, not deciding what they need or what they're ready for without watching them and observing them, which brings me to the third point, which is observing. A Montessori teacher is not called a teacher because we don't, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't impart this knowledge upon this poor defenseless being that doesn't know any better. We guide them. And that's why a Montessori guide is the term that's used, because that's our job, is to guide them to the right choice for their body, the right word for their emotion, the right material for what they're trying to learn, whatever the case may be, we guide them to that. The only way we can guide them is through observation. I can't guide a child to the next material if I haven't observed them and seen that they've completed this material and they've completed it accurately more than once, so that I can see they're ready for the next one. If I'm not observing those changes in the way that they do that material, then I don't know what they're ready for next. So a lot of times you'll go into a Montessori class and the teacher will maybe be taking notes, but maybe not. She'll just be walking around and observing, and the assistant might be interacting with a few things here and there, but you'll wonder, like, what is she really doing? I haven't seen her teach anything for an hour. And it's because her class knows what they're doing. They're making their own choices. She's normalized the entire class to the point where they can work autonomously. They don't need a teacher standing over them saying, do this, do this, do this, do this. They know what to do, and she's observing it to see what they're ready for next. And a lot of first-time observers in a Montessori classroom will have that opinion of a teacher, like, she didn't do anything the whole time I was there, or she just sat the whole time I was there. And it's because they don't realize how much more is actually going on. So we respect the child, we follow their lead, and we use observation to know what is coming next. Those three things sound really easy, but they're so not. And so we're going to cover them in sometimes little bits of our lessons, but other times in full detail, depending on what you guys want. So this video has been a little introduction to me and a little bit of my background in Montessori, how I came to it and how I'm using it now. So in the comments of this video, if you have something that you are questioning about Montessori, material, philosophy, myths that you've heard that you would like debunked or confirmed, write them in the comments and let me know what you're interested in knowing, and I will try my best to create a video that answers those questions. All right, we'll see you next time.